Hello, hello. We are back. We are finally back, back bi-weekly. I think we missed last week, but we are here back again in this episode. I'm super excited, but let's get going. We are all uprooted, just trying to find our way. No way is wrong. Every plant grows differently. Welcome back to Mama Uprooted, where we talk about the real, messy, beautiful parts of motherhood, because the truth is, motherhood doesn't just raise our children, it changes us. And sometimes motherhood brings healing. And we all know we've been there. Sometimes it brings things to the surface we didn't even know were there. And sometimes it awakens us to patterns, wounds, or family dynamics that we realize we want to change for the next generation. So today's conversation is a really powerful one. So I'm sitting down with my friend Allison. She is the author of a new book called Salt in the Wound. Her story dives into healing, faith, generational patterns, and how becoming a mother awakened something inside of her that she didn't expect. And I think so many moms listening today are going to hear parts of their own story, as I know I did when I met her, in this conversation. So before we dive in, Allison, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey into motherhood, and what led you to begin sharing your story like public.
Hello, everyone. What a blessing to be here. Thank you so much. Our beautiful host, Emily. You're just
Thank
such
you.
a blessing in so many ways. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Allison Jewell. I am not only a pilot wife, but I am a stay-at-home mama to my spunky 6-year-old daughter. I am a faith-loving, devoted wife, friend, mama, like I'm sure so many of you. A little bit about my story. To be honest, I didn't think I would be sitting here. I had no plans on writing a book. I had no plans of putting my story out there because, to be honest, I didn't think my voice, I didn't think my story mattered. I didn't think it was worthy enough. It's just, we go through the daily motions of daily life, of motherhood, wearing all of the hats and everything, and I thought this was it. But a little bit about me. I grew up in a very small town, in a divorced home. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. My parents were very loving, but they were very emotionally unavailable. So for me, growing up, I kind of had to take on responsibilities that a lot of kids should not have to take on. And that wound had followed me into adulthood until I became a mama, and again, something kind of awakened inside of me that knew deep down in my DNA needed to change. So when I was invited to speak at a women's event, I honestly said no the first time, and then they kept pressing. So I finally said yes, and it was a beautifully overwhelming experience when I had all of these women coming up to me afterwards saying, "Me too. This is my story." And, it just really invoked an awakening in me as far as how many women are keeping their story to themselves or hidden. How many women and mamas are keeping their voices hidden or feeling like they are not enough or they're crazy or whatever that scenario that's going on in their head. And I was like, I'm going to be the one. If I'm the one that's walking the line and breaking these generational patterns, I'm going to be the one that steps up to the plate and build this community for women to where they can say to no more, it ends with me. So,
Yes.
And here we are.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. I think that's so powerful. And that's exactly where I'm at as well, is why I started Mama Uprooted, because of the struggles I've gone through in motherhood. And so bringing in other moms' journeys has been a huge impact on our Mama Uprooted community, seeing that you are not the only one struggling when it comes to these things. But I love when women talk about motherhood being an awakening, because I think that's something many moms experience but don't always have the words for. Like you said, we don't know. Like, are we the only ones experiencing this? Or are we feeling alone? We're feeling, trapped in a way. But for me personally, motherhood, it felt like one day, like I held up a mirror and I didn't even know I didn't even know existed. Like there was just this awakening for me. It's like before kids, I thought I really understood myself pretty well. But once I became a mom, things started surfacing. And this is why I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today, because how I react like under stress, the pressure I put on myself, how I process emotions, it was like motherhood has uncovered parts of me I hadn't fully processed yet. That was huge. And I'm still going through that. But a question for you, Allison, is did becoming a mother bring things to the surface you didn't even realize were there? And this is a heavy question. And I know that you're going to have some amazing answers for this first question of the day.
Oh my God, like gives me goosebumps, yes, because oh my goodness. I remember when I found out when my husband and I were pregnant, I honestly was so nervous, and not like the nervous about bringing this human life into the world and raising it. I honestly was nervous about losing my identity as Allison. I remember being like fixated on, I still want to be Allison because I still had, again, you don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is changing. Your body is changing. Your hormones are changing. Your mentality is changing, right? So the one thing I was fixated on of not changing was me. But that me, honestly, it needed a change, right? And it does. Like, as soon as you become a mom, just something changes. It's just that relationship between your child and you that's only yours, right? So, I always say that Allison, the moment I looked at my daughter, that Allison, it died, but in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. It ignited just this version of me where I'm just looking at this tiny, innocent human being, right? And being like, you know what? I don't even know what this is. This relationship is just starting, but I know that in my DNA, something needs to change. And even in the moments when certain family members would be like, that's normal, that's how you're supposed to be feeling, like in my bones I knew it wasn't. I'm like, this isn't normal. These patterns, these feelings, everything that, like, this anxiety of keeping us in our bubble, right, and this safety, that really ignited this inner child healing that I needed to go down, because I didn't want, I wanted to heal for my daughter. I don't want her to someday have to heal the wounds that she never bore. That's not her. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we're not going to damage our kids, right? Because we're mothers, we're human, we're going to get some things wrong. But the difference between going on that healing journey and really working on yourself and knowing your own patterns, your own shadows, is that they're not going to heal from those old family wounds, right? Mm-hmm. And the focus is you can have a bad day and not be a bad mom, right? You can still have a bad moment and not damage your child. But the difference between, I feel like, old generations, right, and our new age is that reconciliation. How are we doing that reconciliation and that repairing to where we know that our children are looking at us as humans, not some authority figure that it's just an obey me, right? Now we can get on a Bible talk as far as obeying our parents, because I can go down that whole talk, but that's another talk another day. But so
Yeah. And I mean, was there a specific moment though that you really realized something inside of you had shifted? We're pregnant, and that's the same thing like me. As soon as I was pregnant, I prayed to be pregnant. I prayed for this. And as soon as that first child, oh my gosh, everything an inch of me changed. I remember my girlfriend even telling me everything's going to change. And I'm like, no, it's not. I argued with my best friend saying it's not going to change. She's like, Emily, you're going to give up a lot. And and you're going to find new ways and new paths. And I'm like, no, I'm going to continue being the same person I am. But I love, the beautiful way of motherhood is it's this very stressful time, and it's a very hard time when we're changing the identity. So I'm still going through it. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, but I'm still trying to find myself, but in a beautiful way. Like you said, we're evolving into this beautiful butterfly. It's the way I think for me, I'm trying to figure out, and why I started Mama Uprooted too, is I'm trying to figure out how to do this in a positive way and help moms not feel like these may be normal feelings, but then these patterns, like you say, maybe aren't so normal. Like, this is how we can change the system to make us get through motherhood in a better way. Like, this is a good thing. We are all healing and through motherhood, but what is this? Sorry, I can't talk today. Specific moment, like you really were like, something's shifted, something's changed.
So when I first had my daughter, I mean, nothing, like in that moment, like nothing else mattered, right? It was her and I was almost in a fight or flight kind of mode where it's her and I against the world, my husband included. And everyone, when you're a new mom, everything is new anyways. You're trying to figure yourself out. I mean, bless you, you are still, your body is still going back to normal with your 2-year-old, right? I didn't have anyone to tell me those things. You know, again, my childhood was very different than what my daughter is experiencing, right? And I don't have any sort of experience or mentor or anything. Like, I am doing this all on my own, and I really was. But there was, I mean, I was just in such survival mode and feeling like I was getting everything wrong when I would, you know, walk through fire for my child, but at the end of the day, I'm still exhausted and looking like, why did I messed all of this up. I'm messing her up. And those voices were so loud at first, right? And it wasn't until I think she was, oh my goodness, maybe a year and a half. We're entering like that hard toddler season where you just like, you get in that groove where you're like, yeah, I got this. Down and snap, you know, another development pattern.
Just wait, there's more.
Exactly. So, and she was fighting me with her hair or whatever it was, and I just remember letting out this scream, right? And just like, I can't do this anymore, right? And just so exhausted, feeling so defeated, right? And feeling like, you know, I'm just gonna mess her up, right? She's just like, I might as well just screw the college fund, here's the therapy fund, right? Like, that's like the mentality that I was in. And then I just looked at her because she's like, mommy like yelled at me, like she was scared, and I was like, this is not okay, whatever I'm feeling. And I just remember literally calling out to God, and I was like, you know, I've tried, I'm here, and I really need someone to love me right now. So if you're really there, you really want, you know, you say I'm supposed to be a daughter of the kingdom, I need you right now. And let me tell you, the amount of peace that flew over my body in that moment, and I was not even saved at that moment in time, right? But everything changed. Bryn, my daughter, got calmer. Like, again, I started viewing everything in a different, I mean, when I say it was like a light bulb switch, it really was, because I've never felt that sense of peace in my entire life. That really started like, wow, I can do something different. I don't have to follow in the footprints. I can walk a different life and people not understand it and still, you know, still honor where they are and still do things differently. And that is truly where my walk with redemption, faith, motherhood, and building a foundation on Christ really started. And I mean, really, and half the people thought that I was crazy. And, you know, part of me, like, again, everything in motherhood really just kind of started to change there. And I really wanted to focus on breaking those patterns, learning about myself, learning these triggers. When my daughter cried, why was I feeling all of these things? Or when I was exhausted at the end of the day, why was I doing all of this self-destruction as far as these mental thoughts and everything like that? And what can I do to really create a healthier household for my daughter, to where, I mean, I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that relates to me. I mean, 110%. I mean, I feel like you guys hear me talk a lot about my children don't sleep, and I feel like people have given me so much advice on do this, this is how it's supposed to be. And you know, talked earlier about that's normal. People, you know, back in the day, people just continue to say, this is normal, like you'll get through it. It'll finally, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But is there? Like, I feel like I love the fact that if we can just sit down and focus on exactly what you said, why am I feeling this way? How can I figure out this anxiety? God, like, help me, bring me peace to quiet these negative thoughts. I feel we talk a lot about mindset shift is really trying to get our minds to get to those positive things, you know, and becoming this beautiful butterfly. I keep saying beautiful butterfly because we're becoming beautiful butterflies. Like, they always say, like in motherhood, like we turn into goo. And we go through this crazy like cocoon, and we're goo, and it's terrible and it's horrible. But then all of a sudden we come out and we're this beautiful butterfly. But it's because we take the time to figure out, like you and I are like, that's why we do what we do, ladies, is because we're like, okay, why? Why is this happening? How can we change these patterns? This is not normal. Stop using those words. This is normal. This pattern, or this is whatever. But you know, I think my childhood looked a little different as far as what people often imagine when they talk about family wounds. So this is something I'm going to dive into. My mom was very loving. She didn't yell. There wasn't really harsh discipline or anything in our home. But I grew up with 2 older brothers. And this is going to be, I'm sure my family will listen to this, but in the culture of our household was very much about being tough. So being strong. And I feel like this is something for me that I'm working through myself when we were talking about how to handle our anxiety and how to handle our emotions, is I really bottled that up. Like I really didn't express emotion. I was tough. I have one of my best friends told me the other day, like, girl, you're tough as nails. Like I would be on my knees crawling, bawling my eyes out, everything that you go through every single day, you know? So I'm like, but I think that's because of what I'm going through. And so now, like you said, like I'm starting to see these emotions kind of come through that I've never seen come through before around my children. And so I'm kind of like, I never used to be like that. I never used to be super anxious or yell or whatever. Like I'm kind of just seeing it all come out of me in a weird way because of these childhood wounds, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I lived in a great household where I'm not blaming my family at all. But in my mentality it was push harder, do better, don't quit, don't give up, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like I never had the capacity to stop and cry and complain about it. Like you just keep going. And now it's like, that's why I feel like a lot of women and mothers are like working through these wounds now, because we're trying to explain to our children, it's okay to talk through emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to like do this. Let's, whatever. So I played sports growing up too. And basketball, especially, even if I was the MVP of the basketball game, if I missed a free throw, girl, you're not good enough. Like, it was a constant battle for me. And that's how I pushed myself through my entire life. And so now in motherhood, I feel like I'm getting like that too. I'm like, I'm not good enough, or I didn't, I have to bring snacks to daycare. All the other moms take their time and make homemade baked cupcakes. Girl, I ain't got time for that. I'm going to bring them some sparkled animal cookies, like whatever. Like I'm going to drop at Target and get that. But anyways, it taught me to work harder and be successful, which is great, which I am super, super grateful for. But it also taught me to hide my emotions, and tears weren't something you showed. I mean, even today, I hold back tears, and I see those kind of sometimes come out my children, but weakness wasn't something that we talked about. That's just not something we ever talked about. And like I said, as now as an adult mom, I almost experience like the opposite sometimes, because I suppress emotions for so long that now I feel them so deeply, almost too deeply. Learning how to regulate emotions in a healthy way has been something I've really had to grow into, and I'm still working on these emotions. It's very difficult for me. But question for you is, did you ever notice things from your childhood that shaped how you handle emotions or pressure as an adult?
Oh my goodness. So I can relate to you a lot. My sports was dance and other things, so it wasn't basketball, but recovering perfectionist, recovering type A, controlling everything.
I think we're all that. Yeah.
All of that. Again, and that's, I tease with everyone. I'm like, yes, recovering perfectionist here, recovering control freak, because I was so fixated on controlling what I could, because my household was so emotionally irregular, right? And again, I, I mean, again, my book goes into more details, but there was nothing pretty about the family dynamic. Did my family love to the best of their ability? Yes, they absolutely 1000% did. But no one had the tools, and no one had the emotional capacity to bring those tools to me. So it was, as soon as you got a little bit too much, go to your room, figure it out. There was so many things that I had to process, and I didn't have any siblings. I'm an only child. The half siblings that I do have, they are 12 and 13 years younger than me. I don't have a huge relationship with that side of the family and with them, because I was already like pretty much in college by the time they were toddlers, right? So we grew up in different dynamics, right? But going back to your question, like what stemmed from my childhood, going into the emotions and everything, honestly, it was everything that I viewed back into childhood. I was like, wow, motherhood isn't about perfection. Talking about emotions, like with Brinley, it was very important for her to see my raw moments. Like, I think that we just want to be super women, right? We want to be this Wonder Woman to our children, that they just see some happy-go-lucky mother all of the time, and that's honestly, it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think that's setting our children up for failure already, because then when they are actually having a hard moment, they are feeling like they're the weird ones. They're like the odd man out, because no one else is experiencing what they're feeling. So, specifically with my daughter, what I wanted to start working on was showing her, like, hey, she might not understand like what sadness was. When she was like 2, and I really kind of started changing those patterns, she was 2, right? She's not really communicating everything, but she sees everything, right? And we're setting her up to where she can really process those emotions in a healthy way, to where those temper tantrums are going to come. She's a kid. Every kid is going to have those. You are not going to stop.
I have tantrums.
Right. I'm telling you, like, I get it. Just ask my husband.
Yeah. We could line up the husbands today and they tell us every wife has tantrums, but yeah, absolutely.
Right, like husbands after dark, right? Like I can spill the tea, right? But what I really wanted to show her was being sad is healthy. Being mad is healthy. How you are mad, how you act when you're mad is what we need to work on. You can be mad, but the behavior that's coming with it, throwing something, kicking something, slapping, whatever, that is not okay, right? So now as a 6-year-old, she's like, she's being able to express that. So it's like, there's times where I'm like, am I even getting this right? Is this getting through to her? But then she'll have a moment like, Mommy, I'm having a really hard time. I'm feeling angry and anxious right now. What can we do? And, instead of getting upset at her or saying, don't do that, and, getting upset, like, I'm coming down to her level and being like, what are 3 things that you think that we can do to work through it? Because she's 6. She's still going to kick that car seat when I'm saying no to an extra animal cracker. She's still going to get upset when I'm saying turn off Bluey, right? And I love the fact that she's like, give me grace, Mom. I was like, I think we missed that message, sis. Like that, nope, that like wrong message.
Oh, they're so smart.
But she knows the word boundaries, right? She knows, like, these are my boundaries, that, I don't like this, or this is what I'm feeling. We watch and we go through things together where she's like, I'm feeling really mad, I want to roar, and she'll roar like a lion, and then she'll take a deep breath and she'll count to 4, and then we can talk about it. But I think as mamas, the one thing, what really helped me anyways, is showing the acts of the self-care and the self-love. And that's hard to do because we sacrifice the moment they are out. Honestly, in the womb, we're sacrificing. But, our heart is on our sleeves when our children are born, correct, right? So, but we still have to show our children that level of self-respect and love that we have for ourselves. So for instance, when my daughter is acting very ornery and acting a certain way, I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, or just like starts talking to me in a certain way, I stop it and I was like, you know what? I love you, but I love me enough to where I'm not going to allow you to talk to me like that. I don't let daddy talk to me like that. I don't let your nana, your papa, like, I don't let anyone talk to, I don't let my friends talk to me like that. And I'm not going to let you, because I love myself enough where we're not going to do that. So I'm going to walk away. Like I tell her and I walk through everything, like, I'm going to walk away when you are ready to talk to me in a respectful manner, or where we can communicate more effectively. I will be happy. Consequences are consequences, whether it's positive or negative, right? But that is opening up her eyes, like, wow, like, I need to love me like that. And I remind her all of the time, I'm like, I need you to love you the way mommy loves you, right? You need to have that love for yourself. You need to be proud of yourself when you do things. You need to understand how to process certain things. And again, she's 6, but you have to start somewhere, right?
You do.
And this
you do.
is kind of setting, I didn't get that growing up. Right? It was a figure it out, or brush it under the rug. We don't feel, just similar to your. And I think that, again, is a generational thing. But we can't make that an excuse either. Because everyone can change. It's just, it's hard. It's not easy. I think social media has given this light and glow to healing, where it's like, oh, like, this is just trauma, like, this is healing, like, these are such trending words. And I was like, sis, like, this isn't a spa day and going to Target run and sipping on a Starbucks, like, kid free. Like, this is like dirty work. It's holy work, and you are setting the line for the 1,000 generations, and that's biblical. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's really hard because, I mean, especially with social media, I mean, there's been the gentle parenting, the hiding, don't cry, don't show your emotions. For me, it was more of the don't show your emotions, just bury under the rug and keep smiling and keep trucking on. And now people are like, oh, this gentle parenting. And it's like, I love the way you're explaining it and how to really sit down and have a real conversation. We don't need to sit down and baby our baby. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you're feeling sad. Like, what can I do to just, you don't really want to baby them. You still want our children to be tough, but how can we talk through this in a way that's respectful? Like you said, we need to love ourselves at the very beginning, because, and that's what I told her the other day. She had a friend that she's like, oh, she said she didn't want to play with me, or she said something mean to me. And I said, well, you just say, you know what? I don't really like that. If you don't, I told her, my daughter's 4. I'm like, don't just tell her, hey, I don't like being treated that way. I'm going to go play with so-and-so, and then just walk away. I said, it's okay to verbalize to somebody else when they hurt your feelings, because like you said, we need to love ourselves first. And if somebody isn't going to be treating the right way, they don't deserve to be in your life. So, and that's how I'm raising my daughter, is I'm like, girlfriend, I don't care if she's the best dressed in school and they're the richest family in the world, and you think you're going to be your best friend for life. Let me tell you, there's going to be lots of fish in the sea, and she's probably going to be not your friend much longer. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you never know. God brings the people in different lives, but I want her to know, like, same thing, like you said, like, you need to be loved, right? But I think one of the biggest moments in motherhood is when you realize you get to decide what continues and what stops, like you said. I've had moments where I catch myself reacting in a way, I remember adults reacting when I was a child. And there's this pause where I think that pattern stops with me, right? So questions, when did you start recognizing generational patterns in your own life? And what made you realize you wanted something different for your daughter?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. I mean, I wrote some notes down too, because with my personality, I can definitely get off of topic. But, I think that kind of stems back to just my parents being very emotionally unavailable. It's not that they weren't present, it's just they could not bring themselves down to a child level. And I think so a lot of us as adults, we forget what it's like to be a kid. I don't know when that happens, when that innocence kind of strips away, but again, for me, coming from a very, I call it colorfully complicated divorced family, never being able to talk about those feelings. My mom, love her to pieces. She is always stressed. Everything is a rush. Everything is anxious. I mean, even before coming onto this podcast, I was like, hey mom, can you help me like with this tag and stuff? And she's like, searching for the scissors and everything. I'm like, mom, like calm down, right? Not everything has to be this big hustle bustle. My dad's side of the family, it's like, you don't talk about it. We can have all of the family poo and everything going on, all of the different things, and we just don't talk about it. So trying to recognize generational patterns, I want to say you don't realize they're there until you're in the thick of it. It is that moment of desperation where you're like, something has to give. Like, what is going on? Like, what is going on inside of my body? Why am I so upset right now over spilled milk? Why do I feel like I'm going to rip my hair out because I've just asked my husband 3 times to help me with the laundry or taking the kids outside? Or why am I so overstimulated because the TV's on, the pitter patter of the dog or the cat, the laundry is going, the phone is ringing, the Ring camera's going off, where is this all stemming from? Because overstimulation, of course, that's going to be normal. Again, we are humans, we are moms, we're wearing many hats or whatever, but to the level of where it gets to where it's hard to function outside of that, or you're constantly feeling on edge, that's not. And that's, again, could be an unpopular opinion, but for me personally, I knew there was more than this. There had to be more to life than feeling this way. As far as the time scarcity mind frame, the overwhelming aspect. Like motherhood, it's not overwhelming. Yes, we all have jobs. Yes, we all have different dynamics. I mean, shoot, with my husband being a pilot, he can be gone for 2-3 weeks at a time, and I'm managing that household. And let me tell you, I am certainly touched out by the end of the day, right? And I just want to dissociate, and I can find myself doing the doom scrolling thing or whatever it is, right? But seeing the way that my parents handled me, I knew that, to be honest, I didn't want to be anything like that. I wanted something different and something more for my daughter. I wanted slower time. I wanted to be more present. So that meant sacrificing. That meant looking in the mirror. And what does that look like? That means honoring the inner child of me that did not get what I needed. That meant grieving what I didn't have, probably will never have, but I can move forward and be strong enough to break, right? And realizing that I get it wrong. I'm not perfect, and I tell my daughter that too. It's when I mess up, I'm I didn't send a note in the lunch to gymnastics camp yesterday, and she's like, Mommy, you forgot the note and this and that. I was like, you know what? I'm like, honey, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I was like,
no one's perfect.
I'm human. I'm not perfect. I know I promised that and I broke my promise and I'm so sorry. But in that moment, I realized I never heard I'm sorry growing up. It was never I'm sorry that I forgot that, or I'm sorry that I did this. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. It's owning it, right? And taking that accountability and not taking that victim mentality that I think it's so easy to do, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important. I love that you said that you apologized to your daughter too, because recently, just a story that popped in my head was I was running late for work, and I always pick up my daughter at 3:00. And I didn't want her to panic because I was going to be late and she had to go to aftercare, and she never goes to aftercare. So I texted the teacher. Thank goodness we can text our teachers now. But I texted my teacher and I was like, hey, can you let her know that I am going to be late and she has to go to aftercare, So I pick her up and I was like, I am so sorry I'm late. And she was like, because I prepared her, thank goodness I texted the teacher and prepared her. But she goes, Mommy, I knew you would never forget me. And it just melted my heart. But I was like, I just wanted you to know that I was sorry. And it was okay. Uh-oh. Okay. So one of the hardest parts of healing family wounds, as we're talking about it, is how quiet it can feel. So just transitioning, families often don't talk about dysfunction or pain, as we are both saying in our family worlds. Like, we really didn't talk about emotion. We didn't address it and any of the pain or anything we've gone through. But as moms, we're trying to raise our children while also doing our own healing. So this is my favorite segment, but do you ever feel alone in your healing journey? And what helped you start speaking about it instead of keeping it silent? Because I know mine.
Healing, it can feel very lonely. It still does for me, because when you are, not everyone understands boundaries, right? People tend to view boundaries as like a bad thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I say boundaries are loving. Boundaries are saying, hey, I love you enough that I want you to be a present. I want you to be a part of my life, but this is where the wall lies of what I will and will not tolerate, what values we will or will not bring into our household, right? And I love talking about this too, because people will tend to be like, well, Jesus flipped tables too. And yes, he did, because he was so angry at what the Pharisees were doing. But Jesus had boundaries. You can be kind. Kind is loving. Kind is discernment. Kind is, again, boundaries. Nice is people pleasing. Nice is not living in your authentic self, right? And when you are truly living in your purpose, when you are truly living your authentic self and your authentic life and living out your purpose, not everyone is going to like you. And I had to learn that too. I really had to rewire my brain that I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But at the end of the day, I'm still not going to change me. Like, I can change my heart. And I really had to work on that. Let me tell you, like, I would get so mad. I'm like, I'm the only one changing. I'm the only one doing all of this stuff. And it's like, no, like, everyone else needs therapy. But at the end of the day, when you try to exude and think back to Matthew 5:13, which invoked my huge healing journey of why I'm here, be like salt. We are called to be the salt of the earth and to be the light, right? That really hit home and really started my forgiveness journey. So yes, healing and breaking generational patterns, it is going to be brutally isolating at times. Like you were saying, that butterfly, I say that analogy all of the time, because we are. When a caterpillar is transforming into the butterfly, it literally becomes goo in the cocoon. And it's mucky, it's muddy, it's not fun. You grieve, you are going through all of the motions. I mean, I remember telling my husband, I'm like, I'm tired of my brain being broken. I just want to feel better. But when you are taught to not feel anything, and you are now getting all of these emotions and feeling everything so deeply, you have to grieve that. You have to honor it. And that's where I say that's like the shadow work. That's the dark work. That is, you can't hide from it. It is a part of you. You have to honor it and understand where to move forward. So it will feel isolating. It will feel lonely. But at the end of the day, the people that are meant to be in your life are going to honor that. They're not going to look at your boundaries as a hindrance to your relationship, whether that is a boundary with your children, whether that's a boundary with yourself, and that could be a coworker, a friend, a family member. And let me tell you, I'm still going through it with almost every single one of my family members. And I mean, again, I'm standing firm on that foundation. I'm standing firm on those boundaries. I think another thing that people forget, it's boundaries aren't closing the door. And I'm not saying that there's certain levels of toxicity that, yes, that door needs to be closed for yourself, your sanity, your protection, and what have you. But boundaries isn't like just closing off. That is, the door is open. I can love you from afar. And if you honor the respect and the boundaries that are in place, you are welcome into this world. But the moment that line is crossed, no ma'am, no sir, right? So I think that can get a little muddled with the whole trending aspect of healing that people talk about. And a lot of times half of the ones that are talking about it have not been in the muck. They're just wanting to, promote that fun little iced coffee or like a little self-care day out.
Yes, no, that's perfect. I feel like for me, my healing journey has definitely felt very alone. Feel that my mom personally didn't go through the things that I am going through as a mom. So she doesn't, I feel like my mom's like my best friend. I verbally say things often and she's just like, I don't know. I never had to deal with this, and I'm kind of like, but my mom also raised us three by herself. So she was always in survival mode. And I think she never uncovered herself either. I don't know, but I've always kind of felt alone through the motherhood journey because even like my husband's completely opposite of me. Like men are opposite of women in general. I mean, like they don't understand the emotions and feelings we're going through and the stress we put on ourselves as a mother. And so, I actually had this conversation with my husband the other day. I'm like, if you saw the things that I went through from childhood on, you would understand why I'm the person I am today, and it was kind of like, I had to say that out loud because I was just kind of like, I'm going through all of these stressors in my life and I just need the support right now, but something that changed for me too after becoming a mom was realizing my healing isn't just about me anymore. So the way like I have to communicate, how I have to handle my stress, how I regulate emotions, my kids are watching all of it. And so that was, we talked earlier about when was that moment you realize something has to change. And like you mentioned earlier about the stress, like go, the anxiety. I feel like the elderly generation, our parents, our grandparents, they just I don't know, they live in this survival mode because like my mother-in-law is like that. She's just like, blah, 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 blah. And I get an instant anxiety when she walks to my door because she's just so fast paced. They don't, like our elderly generation doesn't stop and say, I said to my husband the other day, I said, I just wish someone would stop and say, what do you need? What can I help you with? Stop and ask the questions. Don't just come in and assume. And I feel like that's what the elderly generation was brought up on. And maybe it's not their fault, but they just dive in. My mother-in-law is like, I was just taught to pick up a rag and start working. And I'm like, not in my household. Like no, like this is my kitchen. This is my zone. Like back off, but I'm just like, it's a whole different vibe. Like it's just weird. It's been very hard for me, but I think she's also helped me realize when I react almost like she does, I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person in front of my kids. I don't want to be that crazy person. That scares me, I don't know. But honestly, like, did becoming a mom change how you viewed your own healing journey? Like after becoming a mom, you're healing. And then did you give a different sense of responsibility when it came to yourself? I mean, that's a deep dive, but I'm like, as far as giving yourself, we have to give ourselves grace, right? I mean, that's true. But being able to show our children it's okay to express these emotions, but like after we become a mom, we have to change kind of how we view our own healing journey too, in a way, to kind of almost like, I feel like I want to say protect our children in a way, but we want to show them everything, but we also still want to protect them in a way where they don't become who we were.
Right. So I don't use like, oh, well, like mommy's healing. Like it's not an excuse, it's a journey, right? Just because you have grown up in a certain dynamic, or maybe you've had some pretty jarring experiences, right? Whether that is like a significant other or family or whatever it is that have kind of shaped you into this adulthood moment, that doesn't give you an excuse for poor behavior, right? So my pivotal moment when I'm sitting there like roaring like a lion, like I can't sit here and give all of these excuses where it was like I had no help, like I was in survival mode, there is COVID, like you can do the excuses all day long, but at the end of the day I'm like, I am being a jerk, right? I need to regulate myself. I need to be holding myself accountable to those actions. So as far as our children are going to mirror what we do, right? And the first time I'm driving in the car, right, and I don't want to say like that road rage, but you have that person that pulls out in front of you, and I was like, yeah. And then hearing my daughter repeat, I was like, We can't go down this road, right? And every parent, I'm sure like every mama is laughing right now because we have all had that whoops kind of moment, right? But I didn't want her to mirror my bad behavior. And when you are starting a healing journey, again, you are going to understand and start seeing that no one else, like 99% of the people that are around you, are gonna need to go on that journey, and they're not going to, because it's tough, it's uncomfortable, it is lonely, it is isolating, it's too much work, it's hard, right? And so many people want to just live in their aspect of comfortability and just forget everything else. So you have to honor the fact that you are doing, I call it holy work because it is, right? But you are mirroring what you want your child to be. Our goal as moms is to raise our children the best to our abilities, to where they can fly their wings and actually be successful members of society, where they're not needing like a safe space, where they're not like needing like, you know, a cry session because they're not getting their way, right? We have to raise emotionally aware children because they are the next generation and then the forefronts of our generations moving forward, right? So if we are constantly getting bothered by the little things of life, right, that's not helping them grow. And I have to remind my husband of that too, because let me tell you, like, when there's little nuances of the day and he's like blah, 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 and I was like, really, was that like really necessary? Like, is this really like, you know, detrimental to our day? So, and that is, again, building a healthy marriage too. You have to hold each other accountable to those actions. That's a good friendship where you can discern with each other and be like, you know, hey girl, like, I love you, but ... right? So I think it is just honoring the fact that you have to remember what you are mirroring. Your children are a product of you. I laugh when people say children today and children these days. Like, children are the same. Like, they have not changed, right? How we parent, how we adult with them, how we interact with them, that has all changed. So you can make excuses that work is crazy, you're stressed and everything like that. And I'm not saying that you're not. Coming from corporate America and doing all of the things and then coming and being a full-time stay-at-home mom and wearing all of the hats, I honor both sides of that motherhood, right? Like, we can sit there and share stories all day, but you can't make that an excuse, because at the end of the day, our most important work is mothering our children. That is like our purpose, and society has made it to where we need to be a boss babe, where we need a hustle bustle, where, you know, we don't need a man. Like, there are roles with that, and again, can be an unpopular opinion, but when I started taking a biblical aspect to my life and building that foundation and really honing in on the roles and our purpose and bringing God into my life in everyday walks, it really will open up and change your perspective on everything. And coming from a single mom that was a boss babe, that was in the hustle bustle, coming from me climbing the corporate ladder. So for me saying that, I mean, it says a lot, because I never thought that I would be in this mentality that I am now. But it's such a beautiful place to see, like, my daughter will be able to witness a present, slowed down mom.
Yeah.
You know, the dishes can wait, you know, if she wants to play for 5 minutes or whatever, where it used to be a chore and a burden mentality. Now I honor it. Because
yeah, and I think that's like one thing that you said right there is slowing down and be at peace as a mom. I think that a lot of us mothers out there are chasing that. I mean, this is a holistic podcast. I mean, we're all looking for this American dream, you know, like, what is that anymore? Like, we don't really have an American dream. I feel like that exactly how I was raised is you hustle and hustle and hustle. You get to the top of your corporate America company and you're successful. But now that's not the case. Like, in my eyes, success is is looking so much more different. And God put me on this earth to serve. And that's why I am serving my community of moms of, you don't need to do what everybody else is doing. Do you need to run out and have a podcast? Do you need to run out and have a social media? Do you need to run out? Like, people are just keep following these patterns. But what were you put on this earth to do? Why did God bring you to this earth? To serve. So what is your special gift that God gave you? Is it talking? For me, I always feel like it's talking and sharing my story and having these conversations where God has led me. Is it for me? I was just telling Allison earlier, like, I can't stand content creation. I'm terrible at it. That's not, God didn't give me that gift of that. Do I love art and I love being creative? Absolutely, but in a different way. It's like finding your purpose. And that's how I want to raise my children is, what is your purpose? What is in your heart? Where did God put you to serve and be happy inside and out? And being kind to yourself, like you said, like love yourself first. And I think that's really important. And so ultimately, life does not need to be complicated, moms. Like, you don't need to do it all. I was just listening to a book about this girl was a business mom, was a business mom. And she's like, you can't do it all. And I used to say in my mind, I could do it all. And now I'm realizing I can't do it all. I have to, yes, I need to let the dishes dirty and they need to sit in the sink. My house is going to be a mess. I have children that run around, throw toys all around all the time. Like, I'm changing my mindset, my mental aspect of this is okay. This is, for me, this is my normal, but what is your normal? So you live in Florida, I live in Michigan. Our normals are completely different. You're a stay-at-home mom, but that's an important job, but I'm doing both, so I'm working a full-time job. I put many hats on myself and I do it to myself, family out there. I mean, like, I know I do it to myself, but it keeps me sane and it keeps me happy. I just love doing what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I love creating and doing things like that. But there are days like Friday, I'm doing nothing. I am making it a commitment to myself that, do I need to work my ass off? No, absolutely not. I'm going to sit down, drink some coffee, and watch my favorite show while my kids are somewhere else. We have to set boundaries. We have to set priorities when it comes to all these different things in motherhood. You don't need to do what the next girl's doing. You don't need to copy and mimic what everybody's doing. God put you on this earth for a different reason. God made me look completely different than Allison, and we look completely different for a reason. But there's so many things that I feel that are super powerful that the Lord has put us on this earth, because people strive, though, because of social media and because of our outcomes, like, oh, I grew up this way, or this, my parents an alcoholic, so that's why I'm an alcoholic, or we go through these things of blaming and looking at like excuse after excuse after excuse, So, but my fun part I want to get into is the book. Oh my gosh, that's why we're here, guys. So what inspired you at the end of the day to write Salt in the Wound? I am just pumped to talk about your book.
Again, I was not expecting to share my story. I never expected to get on this public speaking platform and putting my story out there. But it was, again, the women's conference that I had the pleasure of speaking at, and all of these women flooding me afterwards with being emotional, and it was just the togetherness and, talking about how God's purpose for everyone. We all have different spiritual gifts, right? And my spiritual gift is loving in community. I am very good at loving on women. Let me hype you up. Let me build that support. And whether that's praying over you or whatever that looks like, right? That is just my spiritual gift is that love. And I think your gift is going to stem from whatever lack you had, right? Because the enemy works very hard on that, but not getting off topic too much. But leading to the book, seeing all of these women coming up to me after saying, like, me too, like, that's my story too, and all of us having that common goal of wanting to heal ourselves for our children and just doing things differently, right? That just really sparked this aha moment, and I just started flood dumping, right? I never thought it was going to turn into a book and something more, and it's definitely a God thing as far as like the publisher found me, the community found me, and here we are. I'm hoping that first week of May it's going to be out and ready for purchase. But it really, I wrote it so there is a woman or women out there that knows that someone truly sees them and has gone through it, right? The beautiful thing about my story, it's short lines, it's fragmented, it reads like poetry, so it's not some deep diving of self-help like you need to do this or whatever. It's just those pivotal moments of my life and my whole life's journey of that led me to where I am today, as far as the way that I parent, the way that where my faith is, my redemption story, because I didn't meet God in a church pew, and Clarence's parents didn't have a real nice marriage, right? Like on 8 Mile with Eminem, right? Like I was on the bottom of the bottom and the bottom of the barrel, right? So it was me literally calling out like a child in my most vulnerable moment, someone love me, right? And having that childlike faith, having that faith as small as a mustard seed, literally just sparked this entire road and journey to where I am now, and it's just incredibly beautiful.
No, I cannot wait for it to come out, and we'll make sure when that does come out that we will be able to link that for you guys, and please go support her, because this book, I cannot wait to get my hands on it myself. It sounds amazing. I mean, but tell us a little bit about that format too, like how the format's going to be. I know you had mentioned that it was a little bit different as far as the short lines, the fragrance, and just, explain that, because I'm excited about that, because I feel like poetry is something huge. Like I grew up like listening to Jewel, and I always loved her poetry books, but I think this is going to be such an amazing thing, and being able to write notes alongside this and your own personal healing journey. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I didn't want this to, again, read like a normal book, right? Mm-hmm. This is more of like journal entering, right? And it just it again reads like that poetry, to where you feel like you are just having a cup of coffee with your girlfriend having a conversation. This isn't my childhood was so damaging, girl, you need to do this. This is literally just pivotal moments of my life and my life experiences that I wanted to pour out, because there isn't a lot of people that are willing to be as vulnerable and real and raw in their darkest moments. Like this isn't, this is me and my darkest moments of life, of where it led me to be where I am today. And if I didn't have those experiences, then I wouldn't be able to be the Allison, the mother, the wife that I am today. I wouldn't be able to have the relationship that I have with Jesus now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a forever evolvement. We're forever evolving and growing, and I think that's why my Christian women's group that I lead now is growing so rapidly, because I make everything relatable. I make faith relatable. I make life relatable, because this isn't me saying, oh, you need to do this. I'm doing it in real time. You are seeing my life in real time. So as much as there's past experiences in it, you are getting like, this is me, like not even a year ago, right? I mean, these are all of the experiences that have groomed me, as much as I hate that word. It has groomed me and shaped me to the woman that I am today. So there is space in the book to where you can make notes. There is questions as far as like kind of reflection. How can you relate to this? Or there's a section where I kind of say like a little prayer for my readers, and the ending is my favorite. And I don't want to ruin it, but it's for everyone that has seen it, especially my editor and my publisher. They're like, wow, in the over 30 years that they have been in the business, they have never seen a writing in this way, and it's just beautifully poetic, I guess.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I just cannot wait. I honestly, this is so beautiful, because that's exactly right. Like, this is why, again, like another reason why I started what I'm doing is because we need to be more vulnerable. We need to be more real. We need to be more raw, and show up for our other mamas out there. Like, you're not the only one struggling. I don't want mamas to feel alone anymore. And you're the same way. It's like you came out with all these amazing things, and in your past, it was this horrible, like, I feel like, I don't want to say horrible, but like we go through these crazy trial and errors that God puts us through, but we are shaped who we are today because of what we go through, you know, like I look at my past and I'm like, I think I said this one podcast, I'm like, girl, she gone. That girl you knew, like people will say like, oh, I know Emily, I've known her for 20 years or whatever. I'm like, no, you don't know me. You know, so like I'm completely different. Like sometimes I just feel like an out of body experience. Like I'm not even the same person anymore, but I feel like it's really important to share what our journeys, because of it's helping so many people. But kind of something I wanted to share today too is living on a farm. I think a lot about soil and growth. And so I use this a lot, Allison, like in a Mama Uprooted, that's kind of a Mama Uprooted. We're all uprooted, you know, but sometimes the soil, it has to be turned, right? And so it has to be turned over before something new can grow. That's often my husband and I do with our gardens, you know, we're tilling it up. And motherhood kind of feels like that. Like we're constantly like tilling and turning up. We're getting all these emotions that are showing up, all these different things, but it turns over parts of us that we didn't even realize were buried. And I feel like that's where I'm in that stage right now. Like these things are coming up and I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? You know, like, what is this? Sometimes it's messy, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, but also, like you said, that's also where our growth begins. So we're tilling it up, but it's also how you take it. Like I always feel like, again, like no more excuses, ladies, no more like, but we're here to vent. Like I'm creating a community. Like I want you to vent. I want you to talk about it. That's why I do this podcast. But one last thing kind of is, what does healing look like now in your new life? What is now that you're here, how are you? I mean, I think I don't know you in your previous, but I love you. I think you're beautiful. I love that you're always smiling. You're always happy. You're always willing to help women out there. And I'm so grateful that you're my team. Like you said, I wish I could move to Florida with you, but, what I see in you is this beautiful butterfly. But now, what does healing look like now in your current life?
It means loving differently. It means apologizing. It means walking in purpose. It means not viewing God as coming to him as a servant, but coming to him as a daughter, right? You know, for me personally in my journey, I had to, you know, I dealt with my own abandonment wounds, right? So the earthly father can do these things. How can my godly father do different, right? Like, so I had to break those. But I think if I could sum the healing up for myself personally in my journey, it is loving differently. It is just, again, taking a slowed down approach to motherhood, honoring who I was, even though she is no longer, and being able to take those life experiences and build something completely different for my daughter. And hopefully, with all of the things that I have done, she will not experience. So, again, spilling all that tea in my book.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Allison, for being here and sharing your story with the community today, because it's very impactful. And I wanted to get this verbiage out there, like the book is coming, like it was immediate. So your journey it's so powerful reminder that healing really isn't easy. And that's okay. And that's why we have the support, and we have built our 2 communities, because it's incredibly meaningful work. Like we've said multiple times, being a mom is meaningful work. It's powerful. But not just for us, for our generations ahead of us that are coming ahead of us. But before we wrap up too, I want you to tell the listeners where they can find you, follow along with your work, and where they can be on the lookout for your new book. We'll also link it, but where is it going to be? Like what, I know maybe this is early stages, but can you give a little shout out with that?
Yes, so you will be able to purchase it on Amazon. So the link is coming. We are in the final stages of cover designing right now. So hopefully within the next week or 2, we will have all of that finalized. So it will be mainly on Amazon. You will be able to follow along on my real motherhood moments and faith-led healing journey on my Instagram. It's Allison_Jewel, JUHL 19. And then on Facebook as well, I am Allison Marie. It's all linked, so you can find me there, and you'll get some daily tips, some inspiration, and maybe just some laughing moments like girls say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The real, the raw, the ugly, whatever. So we'll make sure we tag all of that in the show notes so everybody can just go and click and go, and then just be on the lookout. But for that book because they're coming in May and we'll be launching this podcast prior to. But I want to wrap up. You guys always know I like to wrap up with journal prompts. It is very important to me for the week. So let's leave you with something to reflect on. And if you do answer these questions, make sure you are emailing mamauprooted@gmail.com if you want to share with any of those notes or any patterns or anything you want to discuss, or if you have anything a new topic that you want to talk about, or if you want to come on the show, give me a shout out and we would love to have you. But here is some journal prompts for your week. What patterns from your childhood do you want to change for your children? All of these questions are real raw. I love to dig deep, so you really need to sit with these for about 10 or 15 minutes. And we're going to leave you with only 2 questions this week, but what kind of mother are you becoming because of that awareness? And I think that is really powerful because I know, like Alice and I are talking about this beautiful butterfly that has come out, and I feel like, yeah, we have ups and downs, but at the end of the day, our goal is to be this beautiful butterfly and also have our children come out the same way. But sometimes the reason motherhood feels so heavy, it's because it's doing something sacred. So if we really changing your mindset on there, mamas, it's revealing the places where healing needs to happen. And if you're the one noticing the patterns, you might be the one chosen to break them, just like Allison has described today in our episode. And that work, even when it's hard, changes generations. We are changing generations. So you got this, mama. Keep doing you. If this episode spoke to you today, make sure you subscribe to Mama Uprooted so you don't miss the conversations we're having bi-weekly. You can also follow us on Instagram at Mama Uprooted, where we share weekly motherhood themes, encouragement for moms, and free root guides to help support you through whatever season of motherhood you're in. And every Friday, we go live to dig deeper into this week's theme and talk about it as a community. So make sure you're jumping on live on Fridays. I will see you there. Come chat with me live. It's so much fun because no mom should feel like she's navigating motherhood alone ever. This is a community. There's no judgment here. We're all uprooted. We're trying to find our way, and every plant grows differently. We'll see you bi-weekly on Mama Uprooted. See you. Thank you.